Hey guys, this is Houston from the Trading Edge. Just wanted to record this quick video to give you an update on some of the names we talked about in the weekly outlook video as well as on the blog site. So yesterday I highlighted that, and this morning I highlighted that the VIX has been trading inside a broadening formation for some time, and the real question for today's session was it going to break below and stay below that broadening formation, or is it going to find its way back into the range again and potentially work its way back up through this formation? Now, if we zoom in here to the 4-hour chart, we'll see what happens. So it was really dancing around that resistance line. It was once support, now it's become resistance. But basically, it gapped up this morning slightly, a little bit less than 1%, and then it pulled back down into the range, or below the that trend line, and then popped back up again. So it did make a bit of a higher high here, breaking above the previous candle here, but then they faded it back below the open and then back below this trend line. So now the trend line is becoming resistance. Then the last 4 hours of the day, I was really unable to break above that line, and now we're in a situation where VIX is still below the broadening formation and slowly kind of grinding lower. That's good news for equities. So if you look on the equity side, equities had a tame day, but had a very strong close. So that's quite positive for equities. The Russell today had a really pretty good day, up about 0.75%. But the real story was oil. So we talked about oil on the weekly video, and oil is still in a bullish uptrend, right? So nothing really stopping that trend at this point. But the real story of the day were the oil equities. So if you look at, let's say, OIH, the oil services ETF, had a really good day. It was up over 3%. And it's really based off of this signal here, where you have an outside week here, followed by an inside week, followed by a break to the upside. So that break to the upside gives us that inside week to the upside, with the high here being the next potential target. So the high of this week back that we put back in March the 4th of 1770 is now the pivot in play. So 1770 puts us up here as a potential pivot that should get taken out. 1770 is right there, excuse me, which should be in play at this point. So it came very close to taking it out intra-session. The high of the day here was 1760, so really only about 10 cents away. So a very good chance we take that pivot out and continue our way up this range. So same thing with XOP, oil exploration, exact same type of pattern, right? So you have an outside, inside on the weekly, with a break to the upside on the weekly chart. Also, look at the monthly chart here. We have 3 consecutive months of consolidation represented by inside bars. So if one of these inside bars can break, then you have the real potential here for this thing to really pick up some steam, and for it to come ripping back through that range again, and then perhaps testing some of these higher levels around the 34 area. So on a lower time frame chart, you can look at something like the 4-hour chart to get you into some of these trades if you're a swing trader. So if you're a swing trader here's a great situation we can get set up right there, right? So a break above the high of this bar here, 29.96, gets you right in right there on an inside bar reversal, right? So this breaks to the downside, and we got short here on Friday, thought they made some good money. If they held, this was an inside bar. Then today, bam, right? It gaps up, they have to cover, and then stops get blown out here and there and there. So the buyers are certainly in control here now, and this is the pivot they're going after right there, right? They're going after all these pivots here. So anyone who has their stops up here is now at risk. So oil's looking very strong here. Another name that I highlighted the last week was Amazon. Amazon looking very strong still. Amazon up about 1.7% today, close to 1.9% intraday, all based off this one here, all based off the inside month signal. So once that thing broke there, the inside month, then you can use any lower time frame setups to trade in that direction. So that inside month broke. We have last week on Friday we had to go outside bar and up, so it broke above that outside bar's range. And now this morning and since Friday, it's been nothing but buy signals, right? So any pullback is there to be bought. So you can use lower time frames to get into these setups. So any buy signals you see in here, using whatever method you want, the bias is up at this point. And the pivot that we were going after is this one right here, right? So this is the pivot that we're going after right there, the top of that pivot there, 1736.41, and that got taken out right there, I believe. Yeah, actually not quite, 1736.41. Yeah, it did. It got taken out right there. Excuse me, I'm on the wrong date there. Yeah, so blew right through there. Came back in, became support, and then it's still going higher. Now, one final name to highlight because everyone's watching it is Boeing. Let's bring that chart up. So Boeing, full disclosure, I'm actually long Boeing now on this particular pattern here. So Boeing right now still a large outside month. It's a bit of a speculative trade, but I'm using options to mitigate my risk and limit the downside. So trading inside week, as we mentioned in the video, is a really big range here. So how do you get out of that range? Today, the sellers were not able to break it lower. So at this point, even with some of the news coming out that looks negative for Boeing, the stock hasn't been able to make new lows. Now it could, that's certainly a possibility, which is why I prefer to use options versus using the stock in case things gap down tomorrow. The day the wait ended was, you have an outside day. Well, look at this situation. You have a inside bar, it broke the downside. They had an inside bar here, which consolidated for another day. Then they had an outside day on Friday, but once again, the sellers were not able to break that low. Then you had today's inside day. So now you have inside, outside, inside, and now you want to see which way this particular bar resolves. Do we get inside and up as a break, or does it go inside and down as a break? It's sitting right now, right on the weekly open, right? So it opened right there. We had a doji for the first 4 hours of the day, and now, at the last 4 hours of the day, it was able to crack above the 4 hour highs of the previous bar. So I got long above 372.27 area. So I'm right around my entry right now where it is and holding overnight. And the idea is if it can gap above this area, or even if it doesn't gap above it, even if they trade above it, anyone who got short in this situation here, that's something we'll have to cover. We have a gap right here. So if they gap it up or are able to fill this gap, then that will be a good trade using options. All right, so hope that helps. Hope you had a good trading day and traded well. We'll talk to you soon.